Hi everybody, my name is Alberto Onetti. I'm the chairman of MtB Foundation, and I'm also a university professor, so I like to play with numbers. And so we did some research about Italian startups, and now I will present in 5 minutes the main results. Actually, I prepared a phenomenal PowerPoint presentation yesterday, but I knew that Peter Harbour from CrESIT was here, so I changed that immediately. I started using your product. And after the first, let's say, 50 to 80 minutes, I fell completely in love with your product, so it's really great. So, what we are talking about? Startups in Italy, we have a wave of 800, 1,000 new startups per year. This is the current number. We ran a survey based on all the startups that applied to our annual business plan competitions. We investigated 100 more startups and 300 entrepreneurs. These are the main results. What they do and where they are. Mostly web-based, 60%, an additional 25% are in ICT. 5% life science, biotech, 10% clean tech. Where they are, you can see the main aggregation poles are Milan, Rome, Turin, and Florence. So there is a sort of innovation backbone starting from north, Lombardy and Piedmont, coming down from Emilia-Romagna, Tuscany to Rome. But there are a lot of other places all over Italy that are starting to generating and creating startups. We try to understand where the founders place their startups, and we found something that is quite obvious, but is something that probably is worth to remember, that startups typically are located where the entrepreneurs live at the end of their education period. So typically when they started when they had their PhD or had their MBA, or they started their prior company. So if we are looking for some indications in terms of public policy for supporting innovation in Italy, probably the first rule is to invest in university, because university are the real startup magnets, and there is the way you can do to create innovation. Another interesting data that came out from our numbers is that 9% of our Italian startups are incorporated abroad. Mostly US, California, Delaware, Massachusetts, and UK. And so an obvious question could be, are we facing a sort of corporate drain? Or just are we facing a natural phenomenon that is what is called born global startup or global companies? So we have a phenomenal example later on to be discussed, is the example of CrESIT. And so I think that the idea of companies that are places in different places all over the world is quite common, and is something we have to phase out. Obviously, in Italy, we still need to have an environment that is more friendly to startups, more friendly to entrepreneurs that are looking for starting a new company, and it's something we can work in order to make our country more and more productive in terms of startups. Who's the average Italian startupper? He is 32, mostly male. 87% are male entrepreneurs. It's not just an Italian fact. I think it's mostly European. The education is quite high. 9% of the Italian startups have a bachelor degree. 25% has a PhD or MBA. 20% of them gets it abroad. And they typically work in team, 3-4 per startups, and they employ 3-4 people. So looking at an Italian startupper, it does not look like him. Maybe a bit more like him. My hope is that we'll look more and more like them. So, where do you learn to become an entrepreneur? The data suggests that you learn by doing, mostly working. 80% of the startup has a 6-7 year working experience. 21% of our startups, our entrepreneurs are not at their first startups. So it's sort of the serial entrepreneur thing is something that is becoming more and more frequent also in Italy. And if we look at not just the entire population of startups, the best one, the top 15 we selected for the venture camp in Milan, we found that these numbers are higher. We've seen that the serial entrepreneurs, that the 40% of them means that starting up a company is a serial job. And so you learn doing that. And probably your first startup will not be the best, and the second one will be better, and probably the third one will be the most successful. In terms of academic university spin-off, the number suggested we are talking about the 20% of the total. Another information that we can extract of our data is that the best entrepreneurs have a higher propensity to roam. I mean that if we compare the entire population to the top 15, we see that this number above is a person that has changed 5 places all over his life during his career for studying, working, for something else. And so we notice that for the entire population, the people that have a high propensity to move is 20%. If we look at the top 15, it is 40%. It suggests that having experience in other places is something that will really help to improve the performances and to make entrepreneurs excellent. Talking about money, this is the most interesting part of the game. So in terms of average capital invested per startup, we're talking about $100K. Bootstrapping is still the most common source of funding. Another interesting data that 23% of the startups are funded by external investors, mostly seed and business angels, but also venture capital is opening its own way to Italy. So wrapping up, since we are late. So Marco said that we graduated to the major league. I say that we are ready to graduate to the major league because we're a bit more less optimistic. But still, we are quite close to that. And so I totally agree with him. We need 2 words, quality and quantity, and that's what we are working for. Today, we'll take a look at our best product last year in business plan competition. I think you will find something that is valuable, and let's keep going. Thank you.